Stewart, at yesterday's Scottish FA AGM, you said the approval of the Lowland League was a significant step forward in league reconstruction. Now that the Scottish Football League clubs have voted in favour of reconstruction, what can we look forward to now?
Well, we all came out of yesterday's AGM feeling incredibly positive about league reconstruction. There was unanimous support for the introduction of a Lowland League, the opening up potentially of the bottom of the third division, and that needed the support of the Scottish Football League clubs. Today they've done that. They've voted in favour of league reconstruction by a vote of 23 in favour, 6 against, and we can now all start the hard work in looking forward to the new season and putting the foundations in place for that reconstruction to actually happen. It's a significant day for Scottish football.
Almost a year of toing and froing and votes and no votes. Now that we essentially have the approval for league reconstruction, from the Scottish FA's point of view, what happens next?
Well, there's a lot of work. Normally you would expect that in the close season it's fairly quiet, but that's certainly not the case. It wasn't the case last year, and it's not going to be the case this year. We'll need to organise a special general meeting because we'll need to rewrite a number of the articles to accommodate a merger of two senior leagues into one. We'll need to review a number of processes, the judicial panel process, for example, which has tariffs set out by division and by league. They'll need to be rewritten. Referee agreements, which again are by league, will need to be rewritten. So there's a substantial amount of work. I'll be putting a steering group together with my senior team to understand exactly what needs to happen between now and the start of the season. And clearly below the third division, we'll be starting work on the launch of the new Lowland League. So invitations will have to go out to interested clubs. They will then have to be assessed, selected, and fixtures organised for the start of the season. So plenty to do in a little over 8 weeks, but I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way.
Out of all of that work comes an opportunity. Just how big an opportunity is this to take Scottish football forward?
Well, let's not get too carried away. This is one step forward. In an ideal world, we would like to have had perhaps a much more significant reorganisation, perhaps with different competitions. That wasn't to be. Various innovative solutions to league structures have been considered and dismissed in recent times. So the actual content of the divisions is staying the same. What's changing more significantly is the introduction of a single league body again, going back to how it was back in 1998. So one board, one strategy, one plan, a great opportunity to start focusing on driving the game forward. Redistribution of the finances across the game will give welcome income, particularly to clubs in the first tier of Scottish football, below the Premier League, and also the introduction of parachute payments, the introduction of playoffs between the top tier and the second tier, and finally the opening up of the bottom of the third division. All of those things are steps in the right direction. But obviously what has to happen then is the product has to be developed. We have to attract broadcasters, commercial partners, and ultimately fans back through the gates before we'll start to see a significant change in Scottish football.
The Commissioner's Review of Scottish Football had 103 recommendations. The Scottish FA has largely adopted many of our responsibilities. How big a step forward for the rest of the game by getting reconstruction in relation to the McLeish report?
Well, McLeish had a number of focus areas. Governance was a key one, as was performance. The third area was facilities. There was then an area around league reconstruction and an area around regional structures for football. Now that league reconstruction has been approved, I can say that the Scottish FA have either completed or had approved every single area within Henry's portfolio of recommendations. That's a massive achievement on behalf of the Scottish FA, its board and all of its staff and members. Clearly there's still a long way to go. We'd like to transform the game and see results on the pitch as well as off it, but we know that takes time, and now that the foundations are well underway, we can look forward to perhaps seeing some better results.
And yesterday you touched on the fear and mistrust that maybe had developed over those years where there were two league bodies. How confident are you now that under one roof the relationships can improve?
Well, it's certainly a better place to be. Having two league bodies in a country of 5.5 million people made no sense to me whatsoever. I always felt that one league body was the way forward. One board, one plan. It's a lot easier for a governing body to deal with that single body of individuals, and I think that we all need to work together collaboratively now to drive the game forward. There's been too much acrimony, too much infighting, and not enough focus on football. We need to leave behind all of the politics, all of the bitterness, and now focus on doing what's right for Scottish football.